Hello. Someone's sick and coughing. You guys all right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where my head goes.
So rapid fire behind the scenes today. One question. Money doesn't matter. If you could buy your next house anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? Just one question.
It would be in a van.
All right. Van life, Candice.
The country, van life. That's my answer.
I love that for you. Brian?
Oh, there's so many places.
Notice he didn't say van.
I wouldn't say van either, Brian.
Yeah, it would be the house with a driveway for her van for sure. But I'll just quickly say Singapore.
Very nice.
And
I don't know. I have this like Marrakesh fantasy that I've always had. Just having like a little villa in Marrakesh, but we'll see what happens. Give me some time.
Okay. Cool.
And to keep this gravy train on time and on track today, Marlon, if you don't mind, let's get started.
We're a company and a venture capital firm that invests in companies run by women and minorities, particularly when they're away from the coast. Very, very focused on the Midwest. You are watching live the first pitch competition on Twitch, where you, the viewer, have an opportunity to vote for companies that you like best.
So every episode, we have 3 judges, plus you, the audience. You also get to judge each pitch. After each presentation, you'll see a cute little box pop up with a Twitter link for you to vote for if you would invest in the company yourselves.
During round 1, we watched as the startups presented their pitch deck in 5 minutes or less. Then the judges began their Q&A. After we selected viewer-submitted questions for the founders to answer, in the end, the audience and judges had the opportunity to vote in the poll below for the company they like best.
Candice, do you mind if we start?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back, or hello and welcome if it's your first time joining us. Welcome to Twitch Pitch, the very first pitch competition live here on Twitch, hosted by your very favorite people at Lightship. So welcome, everyone. Let me give you a quick breakdown on what the show is and what you'll see if you haven't seen us before. Every season, we have 12 companies that go head-to-head and compete for a grand prize of $25,000 and some other cool non-cash prizes as well. Every episode here, you'll see 3 companies present. They'll show a 5-minute pitch video, and then we bring them on live for a Q&A with us, the judges, as well as you, the audience. So any questions, comments, or thoughts you have about the companies you see today, put them in the comment box below, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered by the teams. And that's for everyone, regardless if you're watching us on Twitch, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Put your comments in the comment box below, and I will get them answered for you. In addition to giving comments and questions to the companies that present, you can also vote for the companies that you see today. So after every presentation, you'll see a little number pop up. I'll remind you what it is, and you can vote via a texting line for that company. The question you have to ask yourself is, would I invest in this company if I could? For that, you will text the texting line. Do not put your number in the comment box. Those votes will not count. Just use the texting line that will give you down below after every participant. So with that, we couldn't do the show without our fantastic sponsors. We're so grateful and thankful to be here in season 6 of the show. thanks to some of our fantastic sponsors like JP Morgan Chase. They're one of the oldest financial institutions in the United States. They serve corporations in over 100 countries. UPS, which is one of the largest and most trusted global logistics and shipping companies worldwide. And the Ohio Third Frontier, which works with innovative startup companies across the state of Ohio, making Ohio the destination for tech entrepreneurs. In addition to our incredible sponsors, I couldn't do this without my incredible team. We have the Candice Brackeen, who is the founder and executive director of the Lightship Foundation, which seeks to educate and empower entrepreneurs from the Midwest and South that have been historically underrepresented. And Brian Brackeen, who is our resident expert in all things AI, leads education at our boot camps, and does all kinds of other great things for the foundation. Combined, they both also make up the general partners of the Lightship Capital Fund as well. So we're going to kick it off in just a second. We're going to see some really cool companies today. 3 of them. We're going to see some cool stuff in health tech and then see some cool things in AI. So let's get started with our first company of the night, Voxel.
Hello, my name is Dr. Carolina Valente, and I'm the CEO of Voxel Bioinnovation, and we are developing innovative solutions for the pharmaceutical industry and the field of oncology research. Did you know that last year alone, more than 10 million people died from cancer? That's about 27,000 people dying every day. So with such a devastating disease, you would expect to have the appropriate drugs to treat it. And the problem is the drug development process, this process you see on your screen, that is used by pharmaceutical companies to develop new drugs. It's expensive, time-consuming, and on top of it, it results in more than 95% of oncology drugs fail to get to the market. This high failure rate happens because models used to test these drugs in the lab during the preclinical development step, these models are too simplistic. So when these drugs are tested in people during the clinical trials, the results, they just don't match. What is the solution? Well, Voxel has the solution. At Voxel, we are 3D bioprinting vascularized cancer tissue models. So pharmaceutical companies can test their drug candidates, creating more consistent results and allowing drugs to hit the market sooner and to the hands of people that need it. Voxel is the first company in the world combining a high-resolution bioprinter with proprietary bioinks, that is our printer's cartridge, and a software that creates vasculature. This software is our trade secret, our secret sauce, and allows us to print tissue models with blood vessels. The high resolution of our printer is crucial in the creation of these blood vessels because they are small. Mimicking vasculature in these tissue models will allow pharmaceutical companies to have results closer to the results they obtain during the clinical trials, in which drugs are tested in people's blood vessels. Our revenue streams will consist of our consumables hitting the market first, with our bioinks and tissue models. And these tissue models are currently being printed in our proof of concept version of our printer. This will allow Voxel to have recurring revenue and also validation on these tissue models while we continue developing our hardware and our software that will be coupled with our printer. Our customers will range from academia all the way to pharmaceutical companies. We believe that academia and research centers will be more focused on the consumables, ordering the tissue models so they can test, while pharmaceutical companies will be more focused on the tool itself, on the device that is our printer. So anywhere ranging from $14 million a year to $160 million a year if we capture 1% of this market. So it's such an amazing opportunity. Of course, we have competition. And even though our competitors have been quite good on what they do, none of them have solved the issue of creating truly biomimetic human tissue models for the pharmaceutical industry. And this is a meaningful gap that Voxel is targeting. Our revenue projection is expected to reach $35 million by 2026. And we are currently seeking funds of up to $3 million that will give us an 18-month runaway, ability to hire 10 people, and have our alpha complete that will allow us to scale up our tissue model sales. And this has only been possible by having an amazing team with a strong experience in tissue engineering, medical device, and business. And our team combined has all the background to make this company a success, all the way from bioprinting to design, manufacturing, and software development. And we have an amazing group of advisors from academia to industry leaders, giving us a lot of advice and guidance throughout this process. And the vision that I have for this company is quite simple. It's to become the gold standard for 3D bioprinting of cancer tissue models. But this vision goes beyond just being a device. Remember the 15 years and more than $2 billion? Well, don't worry, that won't be for too long. Voxel will change that. And if you want to be part of this exciting future, contact us to learn more. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So a quick reminder to everyone watching at home, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments about Voxel, throw them in the comment box and we'll get to them shortly. Let's start with Candice.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about the competition and what they're doing instead of biomimetic, work.
Absolutely. So we do have competition, as you guys saw, but they are focused more on the building the tool itself, for building the printer. While our idea is more focused on the product itself, what is coming out of the printer as the tissue model. So while the competition is focused on creating big tissues, we are focused on creating smaller tissues for more detail, but biomimetic. So we are the first company in the world actually incorporating the blood vessels into this tissue models. So even though we cannot create very large tissues, we can create a very small, like a biopsy sample from the human tissue that can mimic very, very well what is happening. So that's our main differential when compared to the competition is the vasculature and the fact that the tissue models are so much more similar to what happens inside of the body.
Okay. And then tell me where you are right now. What's the state of things for the company?
Absolutely. So we do have our printer operating in the lab. So it's functional. We have our proof of concept right now. And we are printing tissue models and doing the tests right now. So our idea is this year of 2021 is our testing for the tissue models to get all the quantitative data to prove of what we actually can do with that printer. And we're also fundraising right now. So 2022 is going to be releasing these tissue models as consumables and then continue the development of the hardware of the printer while 2023 we'll be ready to sell the printer. So this year, it's us doing tests, it's getting the tissue models to the market for next year, hopefully in the hands of academia and research centers in the beginning of 2022.
Okay, and you can choose to answer this or not, but I'm going to guess that there are maybe some university funding and some federal funding that have gone to the company already.
Yeah, so there has been not university funding. So even though I am an assistant teaching professor at the University of Victoria, we are not a spin out from the university. We are completely separate. But there has been a lot of government funding. So Canada government has been quite nice to us. So we have been sustaining our operations and hiring people under these grants. And right now we are going for the bulk fund that is our seed round. Up to $3 million US, and that's going to come from VCs. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Carolina.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Brian?
Just a quick question about the IP. It seems like it's all over this process. The BioInk seems like it's great IP, right? The printer seems like it's great IP. I think you talked yourself about the software being really important to the process. So
yeah.
How do you balance those three things? It's, small team, right? How do you balance those three areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So our team is quite divided in different groups, and we have also advisors that are helping and guiding these different groups. So we have a very strong group for the software, we have a very strong group for the hardware, and we have a strong group for the BioInk itself that I'm also part of that group. So the BioInk came as part when I was working on my PhD. That was when the idea that I had for the BioInk. So we are filing the provisional for the BioInk right now. The hardware itself on the printer, on the proof of concept model, we haven't filed anything yet. We do have freedom to operate in the hardware that we have assembled, but we are creating very exciting IP now during the summer and the largest part of our team is on the hardware itself. As you guys probably know, hardware development is something that's time consuming and expensive. So the large part of our team is on that. And the software is our secret sauce, as I mentioned. And we have two brilliant software engineers working on that software. And the idea with the software is not to go to license, is to be coupled with our printer. So if people want to create these very beautiful vascularized tissue models that are really physiologically relevant, meaning that they mimic the body very well, they need to buy our printer because our software is coupled to the printer. So even though it's three main building blocks, that's how I talk about Voxel, we do have a very strong team and advisors in every building block of our company.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Excellent. So you have quite a few different customer groups that you can go after once you're in market. How are you thinking about tranching that? What group are you going after first and why?
Yeah, so academia is our main point first. So as we are going to the market with the tissue models as consumables first, we think that reaching academia is going to be the easiest entrance into the market. And also academia is my background, that's what I do. So for me, it's a little bit less of a barrier. And also in terms of validation. So these tissue models will be validated by us this year, but we also need external validation in terms of quantitative data. So going towards academia is our main target. So we are building relationships with academic institutions right now. So the idea is for them to test their tissue models and generate some publications. So we will provide us quantitative data to validate all the aspects that we have been claiming. And after that, it's going to go from academia to small research centers to large research centers. And the idea later on is to then transition eventually to focus only on pharmaceutical companies, because that's where the large amount of money is, and focus on the tool itself. So not as much as consumables, but on the printer, giving the pharmaceutical companies the ability to print as many tissue models as they want, so that they can test and use the printer as a tool that they have during the drug development process.
Great, excellent. We have a quick question from Anthony Johnson here in the audience. They want to know, what work have you done to validate the findings of your platform and in vivo studies? The field is littered with firms that have tried this but have not had much success because it didn't translate into real clinical trial results.
Yeah, so thank you, Anthony. So some of these tests that we are doing right now, and that's where I said the academic institutions will help us to provide some of this testing too. So right now we are providing, we are creating the test in vitro. So we are still creating our tissues, testing toxicity to the vasculature. So injecting drugs and testing the toxicity. And later on in the fall this year, we are going to transition to in vivo models. So the idea is then compare the same drug, that same cancer drug that we are testing in our tissue, to compare how that drug works in an animal model, such as a mouse, and kind of compare the results. So the idea that we have is our results are going to be very comparable, but much better than what pharmaceutical companies are using in the beginning of the pre-development process, in which they test the drugs in a very, very simple models that are not even 3D. So our idea is to enhance this translation that happens during the drug development process between the initial testing and then animal models and then clinical trials. That at this point, the translation is actually less than 8%. So by providing better tools, that's what we want to do. So fall is when we have our in vivo studies, and also partnering with academic institutions, so then they can also do the same in vivo studies and compare with the results that we are having. Thank you, Anthony.
Excellent, excellent. I see a ton of other love in the comments for you. I don't think I see any other questions. Lots of cool emojis, good comments. So thank you so much for joining us. Folks, now is the time. If you would like to vote for Voxel to win this competition, you're going to text the number 6 to 203-408-6432. Once again, to vote for Voxel, text the number 6 to 203-408-6432. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, Brian, what are your thoughts?
Just feels like magic, you know, just the kind of thing you hear about in the future, and then here it is. Love it. I think that the question from the audience is really strong. Let's see how it differentiates itself from other things, but the idea is there.
Yeah, Candice?
Yeah, Carolina is super bright. They're obviously solving a really big issue. Everyone knows I love women scientists. So I don't know, it's really about getting there, like getting to the dream, because it all makes sense right now. And it sounds like on a small scale, it's working really well. It's an incredible defensible IP. So if it works the way it's supposed to, everyone
down the chain.
Like, it's just gonna work. So it's definitely one to watch for sure.
Absolutely. I agree. Once again, great comments to everyone who's said something. Charlotte, 738 Charlotte, Chizzy, Anthony, Scruffy, Count Swag. Everyone, I agree with you. The only thing I wonder is 3 million the right number? You know, it's my favorite question in general, but for something like this, that for the right minds to be at the table, those are very expensive humans to hire, the right technology, the right, you know, it gets expensive quickly. And I just wonder if three is right, or maybe there's another number that may take her to her next milestones more efficiently. But I'm really excited about what she's working on. And with that, I'm excited to see what our next company is also working on, tackling mental health. Let's bring on the next team.
Hi, everyone. It's fantastic to be here. My name is Miriam. I'm the founder of Hibor, and Quoka, an anonymous messaging exchange designed to increase the mental health of founders, is the first digital product that we're bringing to market. Here's why. 1/3 of founders are clinically depressed, and entrepreneurs in the United States have a higher rate of suicide compared to other groups. Meet Robert. Robert is a visionary. He's working on making his dreams a reality. He's motivated, creative, and well-connected. He's doing his best to do it all, but he's a human, and that comes with real human needs and challenges. He's a leader in his communities and his organization. Therefore, he lives a pretty public life and feels pressure to be active on multiple channels and appear to look like he knows what he's doing. He never knows who's watching and is living during a time when it's taboo to talk about mental health. Leaders of today are under public scrutiny, which stifles growth, and lack of growth is detrimental to a founder. Although Robert is well connected, has a community that supports him, and has advisors and mentors that he can talk to, that requires a big commitment of time and mental energy. His success requires him to learn new things and be happy, healthy, and well. When he's not happy, healthy, and well, it's not good for his team and others around him. This causes further anxiety because he cares about other people. Founders like Robert are motivated by solving problems, accomplishing goals and tasks, and helping others. Quoka is a safe place for founders like Robert that desire to achieve a state of self-actualization. Through Quoka, Robert can help others and get support from a networking community that understands him. Using Quoka, Robert can express himself, be understood and listened to, plus it doesn't require a huge time or mental commitment. It's easy. Here are some of our core features. First, the community is comprised of like-minded people. All interactions are anonymous, so no matter what you say, you don't risk being exposed, feeling stupid, or judged. Since all communication is done through text, you don't risk getting sucked into an endless stream of distractions like other social platforms. Lastly, learning. Our website of resources is curated by the community and from a thoroughly vetted ambassador program. This is how Quoka works. Once a member joins the club, they're able to send messages to Quoka. Quoka analyzes those messages and makes sure they get routed appropriately and sent out according to the members' preferences. Members can choose to engage as little or as much as they want. No reply is ever required. Founders were struggling before, and now after the COVID pandemic, the need for Quoka will only grow. I've gone through testing 3 MVPs, and last month I launched the 4th iteration. Here's what some of our members say about using Quoka. They're grateful for us putting it out there. They feel that the experience has been lovely, lovely, and even if they don't manage to do it every day, they're thankful for the labor and creativity of us putting this together. Some have expressed gratitude, saying they needed it, messages from Quoka so badly and it came at the right time, and people are grateful when they receive it as a gift. While I identify as an artist, I'm also an entrepreneur, and it warms my heart seeing the impact that Quoka makes in people's lives. As a millennial who has always had technology in her life, I feel that the apps we use are not always created to support our humanity. Things have gotten out of control, and I'm committed to solving this problem and building from a people-first perspective. Up until this point, I've been a solo entrepreneur. Working with a team this year has brought many challenges, but overall, it's been great. I've just wrapped up my first Navigate Capital bootcamp here in Miami. My team is conducting extensive user research, leveraging my existing communities, which is also pushing new user acquisition. I'm forming strategic partnerships, all while building in public, which has been wild to say the least. We have a very low-cost monthly membership fee. Anyone can join Quoka and start using it today. We offer a yearly and a monthly subscription plan. Thank you all for your time today and welcoming me into your competition. I'm eager to hear your feedback, comments, and questions.
Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, Marianne.
Thanks for having me.
It's nice to meet you. Candice, let's get us started.
Oh, you're not going to make Brian go first because it's a Miami founder? I think it's Brian's turn. Yes, go ahead, Brian. You're first.
Going first. I have a question about making it easy and kind of cost is prohibitive for some people, but the mental needs are universal, right? So are there other ways to charge, from different advertising models to Medicaid, Medicare, or even like your medical card from work? Like how else can people get on the platform?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I love the idea of possibly exploring getting it approved for Medicare. That would be quite an endeavor that I've never done before. I'm happy to look into it. One of the things I'm exploring is having accelerators and different boot camps use Quoka with their existing programs and covering the cost. We also have a freemium. It's on our site that if any founder is in need of Quoka and can't afford it, we would never turn anyone away. Absolutely.
Excellent. I just have one more question too about founders self-identifying as having a problem. I know I did a poll earlier this year on Twitter of things that we could work on in a boot camp, and founder mental health was the lowest scoring item, even though we all know and read that it's like one of the biggest problems. So how do you help founders to really see the issue?
Yeah, that's something that I've actually thought about as well. During my boot camp, I thought about removing mental health from our one-liner because I was afraid that people would be turned off and not want to join because they didn't want to think they had a challenge with their mental health. But I am willing to stick this out because one of the things that I said in my pitch is that I'm building differently. And part of this building in public is making a statement as an artist that this is something that we need to talk about and this is important. So I'm not going to shy away from it, and I'm here to support. I'm very friendly and nice. So even if you just want to join to chat and with other founders and you don't feel like you have a problem with your mental health, we still welcome you onto Quoka to help others and give to the community. I think that entrepreneurs who don't have challenges with their mental health can still join to give to others that are suffering.
Thank you.
All right, I will go now. So I know that founders are the target, but can you drill a little deeper down into it? So like, who do you think is going to be your typical person, and what's their persona look like?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Candice, because it was really challenging for me to drill down to founders. I was all over the place with veterans and single moms, and I wanted to help doctors and coaches, and all of these different groups, and founders being one of them. And when I started to go through the pain points and outlining what the day looks like for all of these different groups, I realized that I didn't know what it meant to be a veteran every day and to wake up and live that life, or a single mother, but I did know what it felt like to be a founder and wake up every day. So the founder that I have in mind is, I'm a solo founder for the most part. I have been for my journey. I think that Quoka works really well if you're a solo founder. But as I've started talking to more founders that are even further along in the journey, if they're open to being vulnerable with me about their mental health, even very experienced founders still feel pressure. And even, as you grow, I can imagine the challenges that I've experienced, they just get bigger and bigger. So I can't imagine the things that are going to come along the way. But I certainly want to take care of my mental health along, on the path.
Awesome. And I asked this question to Carolina when she was on. What's the current state of the company? Where are you in the building process?
We're private. I would say we're in private beta testing. We have 11 users. We're trying to just get our onboarding process really tight. It's changing rapidly. We're taking feedback every single week. I would say it's changing. I'm proud to say we have just gotten our second paid member, which is an exciting milestone. And I'm looking at different incubators at this point. So I just did a boot camp. Now I want to look at maybe doing some incubators and learning about that next stage of growth that I'm going to go into.
Awesome. Lexi, you're up.
Excellent. So everyone, as you're watching, if you have any questions or comments or thoughts for Miriam, throw them in the comment box below. So Miriam, give me, what is the big picture? I don't identify as a founder. I identify as an artist, and I'd love to hear, what are you thinking about in terms of, 5 years from now? What does this world look like for you?
Thanks for that question. For me, kind of like my North Star is that I feel that founders are some of the brightest minds that our Earth has, and that our world is not going to evolve in the best way possible for our entire global community if entrepreneurs don't have safe spaces to be themselves and create. I think that, like Carolina was presenting a massive problem, we have big problems that we are facing, and founders are key to solving those issues. And I just think that in 5 years, it would be great to have a safe space for everyone. I want everyone on our planet to feel safe. So I guess that's where I would want to be 5 years from now, but it might take us a little longer, to be honest, Lexi.
That is all right. So I know that you're in a kind of a private closed beta, but our audience is primarily founders, sometimes funders. So if an audience member is looking to possibly experience something like Quoka, how could they potentially find you and figure out how to access the platform?
Yeah, they can join our Substack community. And that is, I'm sure we can post up the link here. I'll put it in the comments. And also they can join our social channels, which aren't very active, but I am checking them. If you message me on there, then
what are the handles?
Quoka Connect. Thank you.
Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, now is the time. If you would like to vote for Quoka to win this show, text the number 7 to 203-408-6432. Once again, text the number 7 to 203-408-6432. Am I the only person who does thumb first? Whatever. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam.
You are, for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Candice, what are your thoughts?
Look, I'm definitely not the target. Okay. So I'm just going to start there. I think that I tend to see that folks from younger generations are more likely to join anonymous platforms. So let's just start there. But it is incredibly important that even as a world, a society, like we figure out how to allow people to be themselves in public. And I think this is the only way to solve it. Like, I don't think you can. I think anonymity is the only way. No one has solved that issue yet. Oh my God, if this fly lands on my head like Mike Pence, I swear to God, it's just flying around my head. I've been a good person. Okay, so I just feel like what she's building is important. It's just, there's a scale issue here. And social grows with people influencing those things and kind of growing their own. And so I don't know how we scale this company. Like, how does it scale? And is scale even important? Is this going to be just a smaller subset of people? Which there's nothing wrong with that. Those are just my initial thoughts.
Great, thanks. Brian?
Yeah, I think you could have 50 mental health startups for this population and beyond, and 50 wouldn't be enough, right? Like, there's just so much trauma in the world. Also, being a founder is such a lonely enterprise. It's very difficult to build something great, and people don't understand. Your founders know what you're going through. People don't understand what it is to try to make a payroll week in, week out, right? It's like a real thing. Candice understands. It's like a real thing. So yeah, the need is clear. I agree on the scaling. I think, you know me, I'm always trying to put AI into something. There are some AI things you could do to kind of give some rapid responses. But I'd like to see it continue to evolve.
Absolutely. I don't know what that's about. So I was just reading comments. So I agree with both of you. I think the self-identification bit is the piece I'm most interested in figuring out how to unlock. You know, like, some of us, not naming names, me, it took me, 25 years to get into therapy. And for some people, it takes longer. So even though this isn't therapy, how do you self-identify that maybe I need community, or I need an outlet, or I need something? Yeah, I don't know how you solve for that. Candice?
I don't think she had a bad idea with introducing it through the incubator and accelerator level, because maybe it's not a self-identification thing. I've mentioned to several founders in my sphere, like, hey, have you ever considered, like, do you have a therapist? Like, and fortunately and unfortunately, we have that relationship. But maybe it's not self-identification. Maybe it's more of a B2B model.
A benefit, like, $1 million of AWS credits.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm assuming that Christine's comment is about either therapy or this startup. She's mentioning that a good watch is The Wisdom of Trauma, just released free, independent, and incredible. So
that's cool.
Maybe another good resource for folks to check out. Yes, for therapy. Okay, great.
Look at the Voxel team out here watching the episodes, supporting everybody else. It's always fun when folks like big up their competition. So I love it.
And before we move into our last company tonight, just a quick shout out to AJ22 Johnson. They would like you to know that Coach Brian, they are here. Is this a Tulsa team?
This is a Tulsa team. They have Oasis Fresh Markets in Black grocery store in North Tulsa. Just opened about a month ago. I appreciate them being here and watching.
Let's solve food desert problems. Let's do it.
This is how you learn. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching and joining. Now let's meet our last team of the night, TackleAI.
My name is Joe Stetcher, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of TackleAI, a workflow automation company that specializes in the detection, understanding, and utilization of dynamically unstructured data and documents. So what exactly is dynamic and unstructured data, and why is this such a big problem in the world today? Why are documents like Word files, PDFs, notes, signatures, and images such a big issue to process within an organization? Well, here's the problem. These documents have data points that are constantly changing, and the data is never found in the same place twice. So this makes it very difficult to extract the data. There are several ways a business can attempt to complete these workflows themselves. Unfortunately, these other solutions fall short. If a business tries to handle the work in-house, the staff's going to be expensive and not scalable. Software solutions like RPA and OCR struggle with certain types of documents. They are expensive, and they require pre-zoning and manual programming to work properly. Or a business could just outsource the work overseas, yet that will introduce many new issues, including security and quality constraints. Say hello to TackleAI. We fully automate any manual workflow or process of dynamically unstructured data that a business may have. Our AI does this in a fraction of the time with a 99.9999% accuracy rate. We launched our first client in 2019 and have since processed over 15 million pages of dynamically unstructured data. We work in the B2B markets such as financial services, legal services, healthcare, and the US military. Essentially, any business that has massive amounts of documents flowing through its operation every day, they're going to be a good client for TackleAI. And these markets are massive. There's expected to be over $75 billion invested in AI in the financial, health, and legal markets alone over the next couple of years. And we've experienced some early success. And we've seen our sales increase by over 500% year over year. We are well on our way to exceed our 2021 financial projections, which will set us up for additional growth in the years to come. We previously raised angel and pre-seed investment rounds totaling $2.35 million. We are now looking to raise an additional $3 million to help with continued platform development, sales and marketing, and business operations. Our early success has produced some pretty cool awards, with even more set to be announced in the coming months. Our leadership has a history of success and growth, and the TackleAI team is made up of problem solvers and intelligent developers that are all focused on fulfilling our company motto, which is to attempt the absurd and solve the impossible. We are TackleAI, the logical solution.
Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you guys? Thanks for having me.
That was amazing.
Great. Thank you. So we have to start with Brian this time. Gotta start with that AR guy.
Brian's
I was going to just start talking because it was just awesome. And then you got the merch on. I mean, everything's working.
I'm not at the office. Otherwise, we have like a logo behind me, which looked kind of cool. But no, sorry, I'm at home today.
I've got questions about what it took to create. I mean, you mentioned 99.9999, and for those at home, each 9 is very, very difficult. And when you go from 3 to 4, it is extremely, extremely difficult. Sounds like a small thing, actually a huge thing. So I'd like to understand from you, what did it take? How'd you get there?
A boatload of time and a boatload of money. That's honestly what it took. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, there's an 80-20 rule. It's more like the 90-10, right? With, a lot of companies can get there like 80% of the way there, but it's that last 20% is going to take 80% of your time to finish it off. And so that's kind of where we focused on. When we built this thing, we started in 2017 is when we founded TackleAI. And we were working on it kind of part-time before that. So it took 2 years of us developing this thing. We went live with our first customer you saw in 2019. And, we made a whopping, $75,000 that year. Woo-hoo. We actually are super proud of that because, that's a milestone right there, right? But it was a lot of technology building, and it's still evolving. Every customer we bring live, every customer that signs a contract with us, we're learning. We're learning every day. We're applying what we learned at other customers, applying it to the AI. We're revamping our models, revamping our neural networks accordingly. We do only focus in those verticals we mentioned before, which is legal, healthcare, and finance, because there's a lot of crossover. In fact, kind of funny story. Our first customer was in foreclosure business as a law firm. And when you're in foreclosures, unfortunately, you see a lot of financial information. You see a lot of healthcare information. So even though we tried to go and learn legal, we ended up learning finance and healthcare along with it. So that's why we focus on those 3 verticals.
And then last question for me. What are some of the outcomes that you can share that customers are looking for?
Sure. How about I share you with some actual real live results instead?
I love it.
Perfect. So our healthcare customer, which is near and dear to my heart. So Carolina, high five to you. My dad is a cancer survivor 5 times over. CRISPR technology actually saved his life this last time around. So technology and cancer, my thumbs up. My full support is behind you on that. Mental health too, Miriam. high five to you too. My God, I am a founder 3 times over, and Jesus, this is not a fun ride a lot of the time. So please, for the love of God, keep up. It's a pain in the ass. Keep up the work you do. It's amazing. But anyways, back to some use cases. Our first customer was in healthcare, and their old workflow, and this is kind of a dirty secret in this AI industry, is people just leverage armies of people behind the scenes to do this automation manually. And there's a company that works with oncology reports, and they gather their large aggregate oncology reports. Oncology reports are cancer documents. They can be a page long, 5 pages, 10 pages, depends on how long the notes and reports or labs are on it. They would take that information, your HIPAA information, send it overseas where labor is much less expensive. They'd have people, an army of people in Bangladesh, read the information, put that information to an Excel spreadsheet, email it back over to this company here in the States. And then the team in the States would take that information, upload it into the EHR system, again, all manually. This whole process, turnaround time, 24 to 48 hours. They have an error rate about 8%. We complete that whole thing, beginning and end, in less than 1/3 of 1 second. And our accuracy for them is 99.9993% accurate. And that's just one. I've got several more, but I don't want to take up all the time today.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. Candice.
All right. What's competition look like?
Competition is interesting. We get compared a lot to like the RPAs of the world, like UiPath, which honestly is a blessing and a curse because UiPath IPO about a month and a half ago for $36 billion. So I am happy to be associated, with that kind of competition. However, RPAs are only going to do so much. They focus more on what's called structured information or semi-structured, or they even go as far as saying unstructured, but it's like for example, like a W-2 or W-9 form, where the form is in a structured format, but the information on it is unstructured. So they say they're doing unstructured, but that's not what we call it. That's what we call static unstructured information. We're dealing with the stuff where the data points are never in the same place twice, on documents that never even look the same twice. How do you automatically find that information? It's not that easy. So the competition is things like RPAs, but we blow them out of the water when we do head-to-head competition. Hell, we'll show you a demo right now live. Send me an invoice, and I'll show you the AI processing it. There is no training that we require. The other thing with RPAs and OCR is like 60-year-old technology. RPA was beginning of 2000s, right? And what they do is they had this cool marketing, the phenomenal flipping marketing. We need more money to just do marketing for us. But they have these things called bots. And the problem is with like UiPath and RPAs, you got to buy that software, right? Then you have to train your employees how to use that new software. And then you have to train your software on your specific documents. So you got 3 times as long. It costs 3 times as much. With TackleAI, there is no new software. We literally will automate the existing workflow. It's just, Brian used the word magic earlier. It literally, we have people tell us this is like magic, and it is, but it's real.
Okay, so you're fundraising, but you're also making more revenue. How will you use those dollars to grow over the next 12 months? Absolutely. The sad thing with the pandemic, a lot of companies didn't make it. We were one of the few that did make it. In fact, it actually was a boon to our business because even though companies couldn't have people on site to do the work still needed to get done. So how do you go and get work done automatically without people in the loop? TackleAI, right? So it was a great year for us. What we're using the funds for is, to date, we spent, I think it's 70 to 85% of the funds we raised on specifically the dev team and building the tech. We knew this was a huge problem that needed a lot of tech to be able to solve it. And we wanted to build real AI with real intelligence behind it. So we spent the majority of the money on the dev team. And I'm excited because I'm actually more on the business side. I'm actually excited we're going to spend about 45% of this raise just on the business side. So to help build our sales and marketing, because we're kind of like the best kept secret out there right now. And we want to go ahead and let people know that that we exist. And then also we do need to go ahead and build out more of our dev team because we have actually a waiting list of customers that are looking to go live with us. And we just don't have the bandwidth right now to go ahead and bring them on board. Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So folks, any questions that you may have for the TackleAI team, throw them in the comment box below. Too many sounds. And I'll get them answered for you in a second. So Joe, tell me a little bit more about the sales cycle and the sales process.
Sure, absolutely. So our sales cycle, honestly, is a little bit a heavier lift. And the reason why we're a heavier lift initially is because we are automating those existing workflows, right? Again, we're not making you learn a new software. We're not forcing you to change your workflow. We're automating what's exactly there already. And most of the time, since we are B2B play, we go ahead and plug into existing platforms. For example, we're plugged into the second or third largest legal case management system in the US, and they've got about 43,000 users. So we go ahead and made one sale, and now we got 43,000 law firms that are able to use our software and our platform. So there is an integration time commitment there, and it's usually just working with that customer and how we go and have our platform work with their platform. And it's more than just APIs and REST APIs.
Excellent, excellent. So I don't see any questions for you in the comments, but anyone who's watching and who loves this company, now is your time to shine. To vote for TackleAI to win this competition, you're going to text the number 8 to 203-408-6432. Once again, to vote for TackleAI to win, text the number 8 to 203-408-6432. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Brian, what's the skinny on TackleAI?
I'm definitely going first. I was going to say, a good AI model does look like magic, and that sounds like magic. I'd love to see it work, see some demos. Obviously, if you can put 2 years in, if you have enough funding to put 2 years of work on the model, you can create a differentiated result on the backside. Not all founders get that opportunity. I think he alluded to that too, right? And some companies being closed during the pandemic, but he made it through, and now he's probably got something that's really special.
Excellent. Candice?
I mean, I just liked him as a founder. The company sounds great too. We could probably go through all of that again. But, not every founder is able to explain something as technical as that. In a way that an entire audience can understand. Mm-hmm. And gave lots of different situations, and we all got it. So I think that lends itself to some level of success. I really liked him as a human. And then I loved hearing a little bit about the competition, and that there is someone else out there, and it sounds like, a little farther ahead, but in a different way, right? That's a potential acquirer. There are I'm sure, investors in that company that would maybe invest as well. It's a market that's, obviously hot. And so just because he's kind of behind in funding doesn't mean he's not ahead in developing technology that people need, most specifically in the unstructured data space. So I enjoyed it.
Excellent. I did too. This is a massive problem. I like that he has his 3 industry foci in the industry where this is the biggest headache, right? And there's 10, sometimes hundreds of people and thousands of hours spent on these kinds of data. I think he's solving a real problem. The team's doing something great. Excited to see what happens next.
Yeah.
The best founders focus on industries like that. It's important.
I agree. The industries where it's the biggest pain point and they have the biggest wallets to solve the pain point.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone in our audience today. We had a super engaged audience. Love to see you all here. If this was your first time watching the show, you can come back and see it again on Thursday when we'll be presenting 3 brand new companies. And Thursday is our last new company episode of the season. And next week we'll have a finale where the top 3 voted companies of the season compete one last time, one episode, and we announce the winner next week. So 7 p.m. Eastern.
$25,000.
$25,000. So same place you watch us, whether you watch us here on Twitch or LinkedIn Live or Facebook, come back to the same place. See it Thursday. 3 new companies. Vote again. I see the club is here. The club is here sniffing out the competition.
Oh, well, yep. There you go.
So we see you, Daryl. So thank you so much, everyone watching. Really excited to see you all on Thursday. Tune in soon. Good night.
Good night.